Today, I'm sharing some of the most coveted secrets in the affiliate marketing world, the 7 strategies that I've used to run 7-figure launches. Now, these are the exact tactics that have taken 5 and 6-figure launches and turned them into multi-million-dollar successes. I have never shared some of these strategies before, so listen up. Welcome to the Affiliate Guy Podcast. If you want to grow your income, serve your tribe, and enjoy all the benefits of affiliate marketing and having your own affiliates, you're in the right place. Thanks for joining me today. Let's get started. All right, if you're listening to this, I assume that you want to know the secret of successful product launches. I have run, at last count, 68 product launches. I have studied hundreds of more. And today I'm going to share the secret weapons behind the biggest launches that I've seen, including those that we've run, that we've watched others run, friends have run, and I'm going to share what you can learn from them. I'm going to share a few tips and strategies that I've picked out over the years about running these 7 and even 8-figure product launches. And some of these I've never really shared before. So take good notes. The secret weapons of successful product launches. I'm going to show you what separates. This is the big thing, is like what separates those 5, even 6-figure launches, like the $500,000 launches from the 7 and 8-figure ones. It's probably not what you think. A few episodes ago, I don't know, 2-3 episodes ago, I did an episode. I shared how I took a program from $15 million to $325 million a year. This is an affiliate program, a big affiliate program. It took me about 4 years to do that. That was all about evergreen affiliate programs. Today, I'm talking about launches, how to go from 6 to 7 figures. So back in 2008, I did this big study. And I verified it again in 2022. Same things, found the exact same things. There was no difference between 2018 and 2022. And I looked at 6-figure launches and 7-figure launches. Most importantly, I looked at the businesses that ran 6-figure launches, then they ran a 7-figure one. It's kind of like Good to Great. If you've ever read the book, Good to Great by Jim Collins, what he looks at is companies that went from good to great. They went from, hey, maybe they're returning an average of 50% better. I forget the exact criteria, but they're returning better than the market average. And then they go to returning significantly better than the market average. Because here's the thing, if you run a $700,000 launch, that is better than 99% of launches. But how do you go from a $700,000 launch to a $7 million launch? What are the biggest differentiators? So we studied them, and then we started putting them into practice with our clients. And here's what we found. I'm going to share kind of the results of that study. Now, before I share that, though, actually, let me clarify what it is not. All right. It is not experience. It doesn't take 10 years to get to 7 figures. People who've been in business a year have done massive launches. Our first guy that ever paid me money like a decade ago for a course or for my knowledge, meaning he wasn't paying me to run his affiliate program, his first launch was $4.2 million, if I'm not mistaken. It's not list size. Now, that helps. There's no doubt about it. If you have a 5,000 person list size and somebody else has 100,000 people and you do everything else the same, the person with 100,000 will probably make more sales. They will probably make more money. It will be easier to do 7 figures. There's no doubt about that. It's not their qualifications or credentials. It's not the connections that you have, though. Again, those help. If I know 50 people who have an average list size of 50,000 people who would make great affiliates and you know none, I will probably do better than you. But does that disqualify you from having a 7-figure launch? No. So that's not what we found. It was not their sales strategy. Again, if you have a better sales strategy, you will do better. It was not their ads. It was not how good they look on video or how good their copywriting is. It was not their social media following. It was not how long or short their launch was. Now, launches are getting shorter. Just a side note, when we studied this back in 2015, the average launch, it was 17.6 days down to 17.1, so a half a day shorter. And now we're down to 15 and a half. So just over 2 days shorter. But I've seen long ones succeed. I've seen 3.5 week, 4 week launches succeed. I've seen really short ones, 10 days succeed. So it's not that. It's not their reputation. It's not whether they have a book or whether they've been on Oprah or been on major podcasts. It is none of those things. So what is it? What separates the 6-figure from the 7-figure and the 7-figure from the 8-figure launches? Well, this is what the data shows. This is what the research shows. This was true in 2018 when we first did it. We found the exact same things in 2022. And guess what? They're probably going to be true in 2025 and 2027. And unless some major thing happens, they're probably going to be true a decade from now. So I have 7 things, and I'm going to put a number on them only for me, because if I don't put a number on them, I'll forget where I'm at. So I'm going to put a number on them. But when I say number 1, that's not necessarily number 1 ranked. I will highlight some of the key findings, though, as we go along. All right. The first thing, they planned at least 6 months in advance, preferably much longer. When you have massive number of affiliates, and we're talking about affiliate launches here, not just your internal stuff. When you have massive numbers of affiliates, you cannot run a launch like this in just a few weeks or months. You do not want to be rushing at the last minute. I have been a part of launches where the team is writing copy the night before, the day of, and it's stressful. We lose focus on customer interaction and doing things like Facebook Lives with affiliates. And we're trying to get all this, our ducks in a row, and we can't do the things that are moving the needle. And so what we're doing is we're spending a lot of time on $10,000 needles instead of $50,000 needles. And you don't get to 7-figure on $10,000 needles. You get to 7 figures on $50,000, $75,000, $200,000 needles. And so I've been a part of that. That's what 6-figure launches do. 6-figure launches do things last minute. 7-figure and 8-figure launches, they prepare their team. They have a plan for things like customer support and live chat and what happens with failed payments and cart abandons and all these things. They know who is responsible for what and when. You have timesheets. So we make sure with our team, like we've got people in different time zones. So we're basically have 18 hours a day of coverage. From about 1 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, you're not going to get a reply from us. But the rest of the day, you're going to get a reply. Everything is done well in advance. They've tested their links. All of these things are set up in advance. If you're going live, they've done a run through of the live, a dress rehearsal. They've tested what happens when, literally years ago, we had some issues where the live stream just cut off after a few hours. And so we tried some new software, and here's what we did. We did a 6-hour live stream to test it. Basically, we did a dress rehearsal of the first half hour, because that's an important half hour. And then we worked on all the transitions multiple times. So transitioning from being live to a recorded commercial or a recorded interview. And we worked on those transitions. Transitions are very important. And then we practiced coming back from the transitions. We practiced the top of the hours. We were actually on video for like an hour and 45 minutes. And then, but we were done. What we did, we just left the thing running for another 4 hours just to make sure nothing broke. So meticulous planning. I think back to my book launch. I planned that thing 18 months in advance. Now, if you're doing a yearly launch, obviously you can't do 18 months, but you can do 9 months. You can do 10 months. You can make sure your affiliates know the dates of your launch the moment your launch this year is over. If your launch ends today, let your affiliates know within the next 72 hours when the next launch is, then go and get it on their calendar. Then take a couple weeks off and then get back to planning the next one. The second big thing, and this was the biggest differentiator we saw. I think I might have shared this before, some random podcast episode as like a side note. But the biggest differentiator that we see between 6 and 7-figure launches and 7 and 8-figure launches is the number and variety of entry points. So just the sheer number of entry points and the types of entry points. So if you think about it, if you look at the typical launch, nice little 6-figure launch, or maybe a low 7-figure launch, they'll have a video series. So you got the overall video series, video 1, video 2, video 3, maybe a webinar, that's 5 entry points. 8-figure launches compared to 7 and 7 compared to 6, they have the video series, so we're at 5. They have 3 webinars, that's 8. They have like another little workshop day, a live day, that's 9. They have a couple of ebooks, that's 10, 11. They have a free report, that's 12. They have a cheat sheet, 13. They have a guide, a live stream, another webinar, a challenge, a book, a mini course, a quiz, an assessment. These are things you don't have to do all of these. Case studies, coaching session with hot seats, going live in a group. They got all these things. And then when they open the sales page, when they open cart, they have a sales page, they have a sales video, they have a fast action bonus, they have a mid-cart bonus. The biggest differentiator between 7 and 8-figure launches was the number and variety of entry points. It's the same for 6 and 7-figure launches. The big thing here is you're hitting different modes of learning. We've seen hey, get access to the videos via audio. Why? I am not a visual learner. I actually have a really hard time remembering things that I have read, for example, but I remember what I hear. I mean, I was one of those people who I could not read the books for class, for history class, for example. But if I paid attention in class, I was going to get at worst a B+. If I never opened the book and all I did was paid attention to class, because I would remember almost everything I heard. I'm an auditory learner. If you don't give me auditory learner options, I can't follow you. So there's different modes of learning. There's visual, there's auditory, there's hands-on. There's all types of different modes. So give them those different modes of learning. Give them those entry points. The third thing is the affiliate resources are provided at least 2 months out. And this will lead into our fourth thing. But that means if you are launching on November 1st, you are giving the affiliate resources, the swipe copy, the graphics, the login to their portal so they can do everything they need to, get their link and all that. Everything that affiliates need by Labor Day at the latest. So technically it'd be like September 1st, which is before Labor Day, I believe, usually. Everything at least 2 months out. And that sounds crazy, right? How are we supposed to do that? Well, part of that is it takes all the pressure off. You've got that done. The last thing you want to be doing is putting your affiliate portal together a week and a half before the launch. It's too much stress. I mean, the big reason why I think this means so much is that now affiliates have everything so far in advance and they can start thinking, like, are they going to log in and get all the swipe copy and do all that 2 months in advance? Probably not. I've never done that as an affiliate, but I might take a quick look at it. I might spend 5 minutes with it, 8 minutes with it. And I'm in the Facebook group and all that. And so it's in my subconscious and maybe I'll have an idea. Like this happened with me. Speaking of product launches, I was promoting, if you're on my email list, and you should be, by the way, sign up at mattmcwilliams.com. I just promoted Jeff Walker's PLF, Product Launch Formula launch. We promote it every year. And I had a random idea back in June for this August launch. And it hit me out of left field. And I was like, wrote it down, put a note in my phone, took a picture of it, sent that to myself. Then we executed on that weeks later. But it never would have happened, I don't believe, if I hadn't got an email from Chris on his team sending me some stuff about the launch. And the cool thing is, like, Jeff and his team didn't used to do that until I taught them, like, no, you got to do this soon, like as soon as possible. So at least 2 months out. Which this leads into number 4. This was the fourth big differentiator that we saw, is that affiliates were really warmed up. They prepared way in advance, but specifically with their audience, they were warmed up. Their audience was warmed up. This is the content, the warm-up sequence, the teasing in advance. Stu McLaren, one of our former clients, talks about the longer the runway, the bigger the result. So how can we help our affiliates warm their audience up weeks or even a month or so in advance? How can we get them to go all in, not just for the 15 days of the launch, the 16 days of the launch, but how can we get them to go all in for 6-7 weeks like it's their own launch? Yeah, I remember we had an affiliate for Stu who he was launching. I always remember the dates because I have shirts that have the dates on them. April 21st, April 22nd, and April 23rd were the ones that we ran. And I have shirts that say April 21st, a shirt that says April 22nd, a shirt that says April 23rd, which was really convenient as a side note because I have some dear friends whose anniversary is on April 22nd. And so I gave them a couple of shirts and they thought it was amazing that I made them shirts. I didn't make those shirts. But they thought it was the coolest gift ever that had their anniversary date on it. And we had an affiliate who canceled her launch that was supposed to happen. I think it was like in early March because she wanted more time to build that long runway to promote. It was Tribe at the time, but then it became the membership experience for Stu. So one key to this is just keeping your audience warm and teaching your affiliates, like, you got to keep your audience warm. Yeah, I preach this so much to our affiliates. You must warm your audience up before you try to sell them anything. One of the biggest mistakes I see new affiliate marketers make is trying to sell to a cold audience. They come out of nowhere with a promotion and they expect their followers to suddenly develop a need and a desire for the product. And that doesn't work. The master of sales, Zig Ziglar, said, every sale has 5 obstacles. No need, no money, no hurry, no desire, no trust. And when you don't warm up your audience properly, you face all 5 of those obstacles. You haven't established a need. So you've given your followers no time to even consider coming up with the money. There's no hurry because there's no need or desire. There's no trust for you or the product creator. So in short, you have no chance of selling. And so a cold audience doesn't buy. You have to warm up your tribe first. And you need to help your affiliates do that by providing things like quotes from the talent, right? Providing them just content that they can give to their audience that just gets them thinking. It should be social media or little blurbs to put in emails. And from an affiliate perspective, make sure you're posting in the Facebook group at least every 2 weeks. Just a quick thing. Make sure you're communicating with them. Make sure you're training them. Make sure you have a kickoff celebration a couple of months early. Make sure you have, for the pre-launch materials, right? Make sure you do a pre-launch contest. It doesn't need to be a $55,000 contest, but hey, like, especially for your smaller affiliates to get their audience really warmed up, whoever sends the most leads, let's say your launch is again on November 1st, whoever sends the most leads prior to October 28th, from October 1st through 28th, whatever, you're going to do a $5,000 contest or something. Now, speaking of all those things there, the fifth thing we found is that they had superior affiliate management. It's really hard to do all of the things that we just talked about, managing a Facebook group and training and communication and all the warm-up stuff if you're doing it by yourself. It's impossible. Not to do seven figures. Can you run a successful $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, even $600,000, $700,000 launch? Just pushing it over $500,000. But can you get lucky and run one by yourself? Absolutely. But they have a superior affiliate management team. Once you hit about 7 figures, you can have one person from about 1 to maybe 3 million. Once you hit 3 million, you're probably going to need a team, a full team. And these people who are running these 8-figure launches, they did not skimp in this area. They knew the secret of successful launches that most people don't talk about. And that is hiring the right people, either externally or internally. Getting coaching. If you can check out our coaching program at youraffiliatelaunchcoach.com. And it's a great coaching. We're helping tons of people with their affiliate programs there. They hire an agency, like ours. But the most important thing is that they prioritized it. They invested in specialized people. So they had a full-time customer service person. They had a full-time affiliate manager or affiliate team. They had a full-time tech person who's full-time during the launch. It doesn't have to be on your team full-time, but they are full-time during the launch. These are top-tier people. They had a full-time person, an expert doing the retargeting ads. They weren't trying to do DIY it. You want to run a 7, 8-figure launch, you can't DIY it very often. I mean, again, you might get lucky, and I've done that myself back in the day, and we ran a really darn close to 7-figure launch with 4 of us. And it was the same 4 that had built the business, like it was a DIY thing. I was the affiliate manager. I was the late night customer service person. I was doing the phone sales. I was running the retargeting ads, and I was the tech person. That's how we did it. But that doesn't typically work once you hit 7 figures. The 6th thing is they solved a specific problem for a specific person. And this might sound a little counterintuitive because many people think that to go from 6 to 7 figures, you have to add more people to your audience. And it can be true, but you don't have to expand the audience really. The most successful product launches we studied solved very specific problems for a very narrow market segment. What buyers need to know, they need to know exactly what they are signing up for. A clear and simple message allows them to understand the product, right? And more importantly, to make the decision to buy. And if your product offering is not clear and concise, forget about it. Like, people want clarity. They want clarity and they want it quickly. So solve one specific problem for one specific person. This one specific person is your avatar, right? And so an important exercise here, I talk about this in my book, Turn Your Passions into Profits. If you haven't read it, go through it. This is basically the first and second chapters are all about this, is developing your ideal customer avatar. So this is that fictional person who represents your entire audience or a segment of your audience. This is the one person for whom you are going to create content. This is the one person who this product is for, this launch is for, this workshop, this webinar, this ebook, this video series, whatever that pre-launch stuff is, this is for that one person. You are not creating content. You're not creating products for the masses. You're not creating products for your audience. You are creating and promoting them for one person who is your avatar. You're not marketing to your list. You're marketing to an individual. So if you want to grab my avatar creation guide, it's totally free. Go to mattmcwilliams.com/avatar. You can grab that there, or like I said, you can grab my book, and it goes into it a lot more detail in the book. Just go to passionsintoprofitsbook.com. You can grab that there. But you need to know this avatar better than they know themselves. And the last thing that we saw when we studied the differences between 6 and 7 and 7 and 8 figure launches The 7 and 8 figure launches were 100% clear on their messaging. They had their stories nailed down. Their themes were perfect. The exact phrases they used and over again, those were dialed in. Like, it was amazing. And this is something I learned with my book was I had everything dialed in 6-7 months in advance in terms of what are the stories that I'm going to talk about? What are like my 10 best stories, 10 best examples from the book? What are the phrases? What are the things like I'm going to say every interview over and over again? And so what stories are you going to tell? Like, what are your 5 to 10 best stories, best examples, best case studies? Perfect those. Remember the names of people. Don't say, well, this one guy, I've got my 10 from my book. 9 of them, I used their name. The one where I don't, I did not have permission. She did not want me to use her name, and I respected that. But it was such a great story that I still told it. So remember those names. Practice telling them over and over again. What stats are you going to use? You should memorize those stats. You shouldn't be like, wow, I was like 40 or 50%. I don't know. No, memorize those. What quotes? Are there quotes you're going to use? Memorize those. Are there examples you want to cite? Then work on those. Work on areas of transition like we talked about. Work on whether it be in a webinar and you transition from teaching to sales. You might want to practice your whole webinar 5 times, but you want to practice those transitions 25 times probably. Practice your pitch over and over again. Dial in your messaging on your offer. Know your bonuses. Well, we got 7 bonuses and crap, I can't remember number 6. That happened with me with my book. There was a section of the book that I didn't think anybody was ever going to ask me about. And I'd written it. It was new content that I'd never talked about before. And they asked me about it on this podcast. I was like, shoot, there were 7 or I think there were 5 things. I was like, I remember number 1 and 2, and I think I remember the last one. So I'm like furiously going through the book, trying to get to that part. And I had to like really drag out 1 and 2 so I could find the 3rd, 4th, and 5th things and say those. Well, that's my fault, right? You should know those. Know your price points. What are the payment plans? What's in the product? The modules, it's if a course. If it's a course, know the specs, know all of that well in advance. So those are the 7 differentiators between these 6 and 7 figure and 7 and 8 figure launches. Basically planning in advance, number of entry points, getting those resources at least 2 months out to your affiliates and getting them really warmed up, superior affiliate management, solving that specific problem for a specific person and getting 100% crystal clear on your messaging. Hey, if you've got any questions about this or anything else in this episode or any episode for that matter, you can text me anytime at 260-217-4619. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And lastly, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. It's going to be a good one. Next episode, we're going to talk about how to activate your inactive affiliates and turn them into lifelong partners. How to take those inactive affiliates, the ones who aren't doing anything, get them excited to promote and turn them into some of your top promoters. So make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss it. I'll see you then. Thank you so much for listening today. Remember to check out all of our deep dives into affiliate marketing at theaffiliateguy.tv. And if you have a question, ask it at asktheaffiliateguy.com. Who knows? Maybe you even be featured on an upcoming episode. And lastly, if you haven't yet, make sure to leave a rating and review wherever you're listening to this episode. See you soon.